Have you ever read Milton, Captain? Khan! You bloodthirsty bastard. Of course I've read Milton. I know what you're speaking of. Fiery the angels fell, burning with the fires of Orc. 'Tis better to serve in hell than to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. And Kirk did cast Khan down to Seti Alpha Hell. Yes, of course I've read Milton. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Because when Romans used Lucifer, they used it to describe Venus, which appeared as the morning star, highlighting its role as the light bringer before the sun's rise. Who's Lucifer? He's the brightest angel. He's the shiningest star. He's the brightest star in the heavens, Venus. The morning star that's also the evening star that shines the brightest in the heavens is Lucifer. In the Bible, the term Lucifer is translated as the morning star, the shining one. And over time, the association with Lucifer grew as the morning star grew into the fall of Satan. But today, Lucifer is primarily used to refer to the devil or to Satan, and it retains its original meaning as the light bringer in the context of the planet Venus. She's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it. The 2nd century Roman mythographer Hyginus said of the planet, the 4th star is that of Venus, Luciferus by name, some say it's Juno's. In many tables it's recorded as also be called Hesperus, and it seems to be the largest of the stars. It's visible at both dawn and sunset, so properly it's been called both Luciferus and Hesperus. And the fact that Venus appears as the brightest star in the morning and in the evening has also led to even a philosophical paradox known as Hesperus's phosphorus, a famous philosophical statement indicating that two different names, Hesperus, the evening star, and Phosphorus, the morning star, both refer to the same planet, which is Venus. Sidebar. But in Islam, what's the main symbol of Islam? It's the crescent and the star, the brightest star. So you have the moon. And when does the moon appear? At night. So it's not the sun, it's the opposite of the sun. It belongs to the night man. So night man eats the baby boy soul, just like the darkness covers the light of the moon. And what's it replaced with? The light of the star. What star? Venus. Roman folklore, Lucifer, the light bringer, was the name of the planet Venus, and though it was often personified as a male figure bearing a torch, the Greek name for this planet was variously Phosphorus or Hesperos, and Lucifer, Lightbringer, Morning Star, in Hebrew is Hillel ben Shachar, meaning the shining one or son of the morning dawn. Hillel, this will come into focus in a second, but before we get there, did you know that America has a goddess? Did you know that America has a goddess? That's right. Einhorn is Finkel, Finkel is Einhorn, Hesperus is Phosphorus. I'm told that America is either a secular deist sort of nation or a Christian, Judeo-Christian. So why does America have a Greek goddess? Did you know that there's an American goddess? It's Columbia. Washington is in the district of what? Columbia. Columbia. Columbus. Just saying. And they use it as a figure in Manifest Destiny because Columbia is bringing the light from the east to the west, because Columbia, as you should know from what? Columbia Pictures. Oh yeah. It's the light bringer. That's pretty weird. Huh? Torch Lady. Yeah. So that's pretty weird, huh? That America has a goddess, and you think I'm just fucking around? No, no, dude. Come on, it's right in front of you. It's Lady Liberty bringing the light, the illumination. Illumination comes from Lucifer. And it's the light of liberty, guys. What if it's always been baked into the program that the light of liberty, the shining light of liberty is Luciferianism? What if the Constitution and freedom of speech, man, and freedom of religion, man, is actually a back door to do as thou wilt? Did you ever think about that? That freedom of religion means that you can't burn people at the stake for being witches and heretic Luciferians who eat babies. It's how they tricked you in the first place. Was the light of liberty. Because it's Venus. Oh, Venus. By the way, you should listen to the words to that song. Hang on, we are going to now. Now that you know all this, this is a creeper song.
send a little girl for me to thrill.
Oh, wow.
A girl
Just
who
going
wants
there
my
with it, huh?
kisses and my arms. A girl with all the charms of you.
Oh. Ew.
Venus make her fair. I love the girl with sunlight in her hair. And take the brightest stars up in the sky.
It's just a cute song.
Eyes for me. Venus, goddess of love that you are.
Now you get it?
Surely the things I ask can't be too great a task.
Also, oceans and sea foam and seashells.
I promise
They're all.
that I
If you go into the White House, it has fucking seashells in it. Do you think that that's just by coincidence? Now you're not gonna be able to unsee it. The fucking seashells.
Goddess of love that you are. Surely the things
Gee, I wonder why they had like a. I wonder why they had a Luciferian island at sea, huh? And they were trying to buy up the ocean. I'm gonna blow your mind right now. If all of this hasn't already blown your mind, I'm gonna blow your mind right now. You're still not sold on this like Lucifer is Venus thing? Check this shit out. So what's the Roman name for Venus? Or I guess Venus is the Roman name. What's the Greek name for Venus? It's Aphrodite, right? So what does Aphrodite mean? It means bright wanderer. Because Venus, the star, Luciferus, is a wandering star. It wanders in its orbit. And Aphrodite also derives from Aphros, the sea foam, interpreting that the name has risen from the foam. So the foam of the sea is like the brightness, you dig, of Venus. Lucifer. In Hebrew, Chelel ben Shechar, the shining one, the son of the morning. Chelel ben Shechar refers to the planet Venus as the morning star. So Lucifer and Chelel ben Shechar are the analogs for each other in Hebrew and in Greek. And they both mean the same thing, right? The morning star, Venus. So, where am I going with this? Know thine enemy. If we're dealing with Luciferians, we have to know what they know. The motif of a heavenly being striving for the highest seat of the heaven only to be cast down into the underworld. Sound familiar? Have you read Milton, Captain? And Kirk did cast Khan down to Seti Alpha Hell, and that motif of a heavenly being, a being in the heavens. A being in the heavens, in the stars, if you will, in space. And someone striving to take his place, trying to take his starship, if you will. What does God need with a starship? And he's trying for the heavenly seat. The heavenly captain's seat on the Enterprise, and he's cast down into the underworld of Ceti Alpha Hell. All of that motif has its origins in the motions of the planet Venus, known as the Morning Star. The brilliancy of the morning star, which eclipses all other stars but is not seen during the day, may easily have given rise to a myth such as was told in Etana and Zu of the Babylonians. He was led by his pride to strive for the highest seat among the star gods on the northernmost mountain, goddess on a mountaintop, and was hurled down by the supreme ruler of the Babylonian Olympus. The fall from heaven motif has a parallel in Canaanite mythology. In ancient Canaanite religion, the morning star is personified as the god Atar, who attempted to occupy the throne of Baal. And finding he was unable to do so, he descended and ruled in the underworld. Sound familiar? The original myth may have been about a lesser god. A lesser god named Hellel. A lesser god named Hellel, the Shining One, who tried to dethrone the Canaanite high god El. Who's El? He's God. He's Elohim. So Elohim, the God Almighty, that this Shining One, Hellel, tries to dethrone El, who lived on a mountain in the north. A reconstruction of the myth told of a mighty warrior called Hellel, whose ambition was to ascend higher than all other stellar divinities. But who had descended down into the depths. He tried to steal a starship, but he was cast down into Ceti Alpha Hell. And it is thus portrayed as a battle, the process by which the bright morning star fails to reach the highest point in the sky before being faded out by the rising sun. Dayman. Ah! Because Venus, the brightest star can never be brighter than the sun. And who's the sun? The sun. Dayman. Whoa! M. Stone says, I got this high once. Look, man. You want to fight these people, and what do we call them? What do I call them? I call them a hydra, right? I say they're a hydra. You cut off one head, then 10 more grow back. How are you gonna fight a hydra? How can you fight a hydra, you say? We have to step outside of the realms of, like, look, they're eating babies, okay? We're personifying absolute evil. It's a many-headed hydra. How do you kill a many-headed hydra? You go to the stories of the past of warrior gods who slew the dragons and slew the monsters who ate the babies. What does a dragon do? What does a dragon do? It sits on a big pile of gold, and it captures maidens and it ties them up. Guys, they're monsters. They have caves full of gold where they hold on to women and treasures And what do they do with it? What's a dragon do with he can't spend the gold. He can't do anything with the women. He does it because it's evil. They're dragons, they're hydras with many heads. How do you slay a hydra? Well, you look to mythology. Hercules. Typhon. A many-headed serpent hydra dragon monster named Typhon attempted to overthrow Zeus for supremacy of the cosmos and steal his starship. What does God need with a starship? The two fought a cataclysmic battle, which Zeus finally won with the aid of his thunderbolts. Zeus shot thunderbolts up the ass of Typhon the dragon. Defeated, Typhon was cast down into Tartarus and buried beneath Mount Etna. Sound familiar? Typhon mythology is part of the Greek secession myth, which explained how Zeus came to rule the gods. Typhon's story is also connected with that of Python, the serpent killed by Apollo, the son of Zeus. And both stories also probably derived from accounts of the Egyptian god, the destruction with Set, which we'll get to. I understand that certain people may have religious values and foundations, and that's fine. They may consider some of this to be pagan idolatry. I'm not saying in any way that you have to accept this as a factual, as a spiritual, factual thing. It would be pagan idolatry. It would be idolatry, at least, to actually worship Star Wars. And people do. That doesn't mean that you can't derive life lessons from the Wars of the Stars. From Luke Skywalker and his adventures. We're talking about real monsters who eat the baby. They're a many-headed hydra, and how do you slay a dragon? Shove lightning bolts up its ass. And you cast it down into Ceti Alpha Hell. Down into Tartarus. And like Zeus, just like Zeus fought Typhon, when Typhon tried to take the throne of Zeus. He said, "Down, dragon! I shove thunderbolts and lightning up thy ass and cast you down into Tartarus, just like my son Apollo will do with Python." And Apollo, the sun god, he will cast that dragon down. And so, like Zeus did to Typhon, Apollo will do to Python. Just like Marduk did to Tiamat, where Marduk drove the monstrous dragon Tiamat down into the depths of the underworld. Like Zeus and Typhon, like Apollo and Python, like Marduk and Tiamat. Like Baal. Contrary to popular belief, Baal is pretty cool. Baal. It means the Lord. And in your Bible, Baal Adonai, Baal Elohim, the Lord God. God your Lord. Baal, if in modern Hebrew, a husband in Hebrew is Baal. Pretty based, actually. It's like your wife calling you my lord. Baal is pretty dope. He's the storm god who brings lightning and thunder and therefore agriculture. And here he is. Here's Baal. He has his horns. Why does he have his bull horns? Because he's the chief. He's the chief guy. He's Baal. He's the Lord. So he has his bull horns and he's holding his big stick because he's gonna whack you with it. And then he's holding his grains, shafts of grain and wheat. He brings lightning and thunder and makes the wheat and the corn or whatever grow. Moloch is something else. Moloch is something else that's not Baal. Because what Baal is, what the Romans thought Baal was, when the Romans saw Baal, they went, "Oh, we know that. That's Jupiter." So Baal, when the Romans take over the Levant and the Romans are in Syria and Lebanon and Baalbek, right? You've heard of Baalbek. Well, in Baalbek, the temple there is the temple of Jupiter. And who did they worship there? Jupiter Dolicanus. Jupiter Dolicanus. And he stands on a bull because he's the chief god. And he holds a big stick to whack you with. And he holds shafts of wheat and grain because he brings the lightning and the storms and the agriculture. Looks pretty familiar. So when the Romans went to the Levant, they saw Baal. They went, "Wait, we know that guy. We know that guy. He's Jupiter. He's Zeus." So to that one random guy in that one random YouTube comment that said I needed to put down the crack pipe, sir, I wouldn't have found out about this if it wasn't for the crack pipe. Oh, Baal is Jupiter. Baalbek is there's the temple of Jupiter Dolicanus, and he has a big stick and a shaft of wheat, and he's standing on a bull like the guy with the bull horns with the big stick and the shaft of wheat. Baal is pretty cool. Because Baal, when someone challenged his throne, when a many-headed Hydra dragon challenged his throne, he slew Lotan. Baal slew Lotan, the sea serpent, drove him down into the oceans. And when Atar came and tried to challenge his throne, he slew him and sent him down, cast him down into the underworld. And so when we're fighting dragons and many-headed Hydras, we should be like Baal. And if that doesn't work for you, then Hercules, who slew a many-headed Hydra like Baal with a big stick. So like Baal slew Lotan and Atar, like Hercules slew the Hydra, like Krishna danced on the head of Kalia, the many-headed serpent that poisoned the waters of the river. All of the waters, they're poisoned because of this many-headed serpent. Does that sound familiar? That what used to be pure is now poisoned by this many-headed serpent who's infected the river. How do you slay a many-headed serpent? Well, Krishna dances on its head until he kills the serpent. Like Krishna dances on the head of Kaliya, like Indra, the storm god of India. He casts his lightning bolts on his flying elephant down into Vritra, the giant serpent. Indra throws a lightning bolt up the ass of Vritra, the dragon, and casts him down, just like Ra, the sun god, the god of the day, man. Oh! Ra, in the form of a kitty cat. Ra, the sun god, he slays Apep or Apep. The sun slays the serpent and casts him down into the underworld, where Set has to kill Apep in the underworld. Like St. George slew the dragon with his very, very tiny lance, with his very, very tiny legs. St. George and the dragon. What's that all about? All these stories about warriors slaying monsters and dragons and sea serpents, like Yud He Vav He slew the Leviathan and cast it down. Like Richard Nixon slew the serpent Alger Hiss on Whacking Day. And in the end times, one day, the great serpent will rise again, and Thor will come back and he will battle Jormungand. Jormungand, the serpent, will come back and Thor will battle him in Ragnarok in the end times. The dragon was cast down. The dragon was cast down by the archangel Michael. Michael. In Hebrew, Michael, it means who is like El, who is like God. Because Satan, Lucifer, the dragon, Tiamat, Khan tries to steal God's starship. He tries to ascend to the throne of the heavens. And he's cast down because he tries to be like God. And so Michael, his name is a question. And so while the dragon is cast down into the depths of the underworld, he beats him with his sword. And with every hit, he asks him the question, El, who is like El? Who's like God? You tried to be like God, like, who's like God? Who's like God? Who's like God? It's fucking based. Michael whips the devil down into the underworld, saying his own name. Who's like God? Who's like God? Who's like God, bitch? Whacking day indeed. And fiery the angels fell, burning with the fires of Orc. for it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. He tried to steal God's starship, but he was cast down into Ceti Alpha Hell. This is Ceti Alpha 6. Captain Kirk never came back to check up on us. Exactly. He has a message for you. Who's like God, bitch? You tried to be the captain and you were cast down into Ceti Alpha Hell. Because what did Khan want? Khan! You bright shining star, you brightest shining star, you genetically modified human, you bright shining human being. One might say that you burn the brightest. But there's one thing that Khan doesn't possess. In all of his knowledge and all of his brilliance and wisdom and intellect and physical strength and power, and Khan rules over half of the world, but he doesn't have one thing. He lacks one thing. One thing that he needs a starship for. He needs the throne of the throne of the heavens to have access to. He doesn't possess one thing, and that's Genesis. Right, damn it. It's Genesis. Simply put, the ability to create life from nothing. He's the brightest shining star. He's Clue. He's Clue. I should have put in more Tron references into this. He's Clue. He's the most powerful program in the Matrix. But he can't get out of the Matrix to make the program. Like the Maker. He doesn't have Genesis. The ability to create life from nothing. Simply put, computer, display all information on Project Genesis. What is Genesis? Well, put simply, Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
Beyond the darkness, beyond the human evolution, is Khan, a genetically superior tyrant. Exiled to a barren planet, banished by a starship commander he is destined to destroy. Left for dead, he has survived.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up. There she is. There she is.
Shield collapsing, Captain.
Can you defend your power? A few shots, sir.
Not enough against
against their shields. The base is starboard.
Scotty, I need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead. I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me. Marooned for all eternity. Buried alive. Buried alive. Sean! Sean!
At the end of the universe lies the beginning of vengeance. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Opens at a theater near you, June 4th.
So let's pick up where we left off. Have you ever read Milton, Captain? Khan! That bright, shining star, the brightest of all of the genetically engineered warlords of the 21st century who survived the eugenics wars. But he tried to rise to the highest seat of them all. The captain's chair of the Enterprise. He tried to take that heavenly throne. And for his hubris, he was cast down. He was cast down into Seti Alpha Hell. Have you ever read Middleton, Captain? That it's better to reign in hell than to serve under Kirk in heaven. He reached for the highest seat and he was cast down. I saw that in a movie once.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is
Was
somebody
the devil
knows
smart?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is at the number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
Okay, good.
Okay.
We gotta go. I saw that in a movie once, though. I don't want to listen to this jerky either. But I feel like I saw that in a movie once. It's kind of like. Did anybody see Tron? Has anybody seen that movie Tron?
Homer, this is your physician, Dr. Julius Hibbert. Can you tell us what it's like in there?
It's like, did anyone see the movie Tron?
No.
No. No. No. No. No. No.
No?
No. No.
No.
Yes. I mean, no. No.
No, of course not. You haven't seen Tron. I know. And I bet you haven't seen the far superior sequel. You see, Flynn was the ultimate user. and not just the Maui Wowie man. Flynn was the ultimate programmer, and he made a system, the grid. And to help him make the perfect system, he made a bright, shining program, the best program. He made the best program named Clue, and he told Clue, "You're gonna help me make the perfect system, man." And together, they made the system, they made the grid. Biodigital jazz, man. But to make the perfect system, Clue decided that Flynn had to be eliminated. And so there was a coup. And so there was a rebellion. And so while Clue reigns on the grid, it's never enough. He wants off of the grid. He wants to be among the users. It's never enough to rule in hell. It's never enough for Khan to be cast down into Ceti Alpha Hell and rule and reign with his space wenches. That's never enough. This is Ceti Alpha 5. Khan couldn't rule the barren wasteland of Ceti Alpha Hell. It's never good enough to be on the grid and be king program. He wants Genesis. He wants to be among the users. It's never good enough for Lucifer to reign in hell, no. He's cast down and he wants out. He wants Genesis. He wants revenge on Kirk. This story about rebellion and being cast down into the abyss. I'm reminded of another story in the Bible. When the followers of Korach rebelled against Moses, and they were cast down with thunder and lightning, very, very frightening. And they were cast down with thunder and lightning with Moses with his big stick. And they were cast down into the abyss for their rebellion. We talked about slaying dragons. Like this one. Like this weird looking. Look, man, you're practically running right into it. You're asking for it. We've talked about this story about the dragon being cast down into the abyss by the warrior. Now, let's unpack that myth. Let's demythologize it. Maybe it's trying to tell us something else about ourselves and about the world. We talked about serpent slaying myths. It's a common myth found in nearly all Indo-European mythologies, a battle ending with a hero or a god slaying a serpent or a dragon of some sort. Although the details of the story often vary widely, several features remain remarkably the same in all iterations. The protagonist of the story is usually a thunder god with thunder and lightning, very, very frightening, or a hero somehow associated with thunder. His enemy, the serpent, is generally associated with water and depicted as a multi-headed or else multiple in some way, a multitude. Indo-European myths often describe the creature as the blocker of waters, and his many heads get eventually smashed by the thunder god in an epic battle, releasing torrents of water that had previously been pent up. The original legend may have, it did symbolize the Chaos Kampf. The Chaos Kampf, the clash between the forces of order and of chaos. The dragon, or the serpent, loses in every version of the story, although in some mythologies, such as the Norse Ragnarok myth, the hero god dies with his enemy during the confrontation. The serpent represents, so the serpent represents the chaos, the chaos serpent, or the dragon, who represents chaos, and the warrior god who drives him into the abyss represents the forces of order. And it's called, it happens so often in myths, it has a name. It's called the Chaos Kampf, the battle against chaos, or the combat myth, a widespread mythological motif involving a battle between a cultural hero deity with a chaos monster, often in the form of a sea serpent or a dragon. The term was first used with respect to the destruction of the chaos dragon Tiamat. The Chaos Kampf myths is a category of divine combat narratives with cosmological overtones, though at times turned secondarily into other purposes, in which the hero god vanquishes a power or powers opposed to him, which generally dwell in or are identified with the sea, the waters, and are presented as chaotic, desolatory forces. Chaos. Water. So, when we're going forward and we're looking at these things in mythological terms, water is chaos. The ocean is an untamable thing. And so that represents your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is above the waters. But most of your mind rests in the subconscious beneath the waters. And it's the part that you never see. It's the part that you're mostly unaware of. And so there is a battle of sorts within your mind, man, where the chaos serpent of the waters in the unconscious has to be defeated by the hero of the conscious mind, and so order must be maintained. And if you've followed some of my stuff before, you know that this has to do with letters. The letters that we use come from an ancient form of Hebrew. And the letter M, mem, has to do with water and chaos and transformation. In Proto-Indo-European, mer means water, like a mermaid. That becomes Latin mare, which becomes marinus, and in English, marine. Things to do with the sea, marine life. And more is a feminine evil spirit, which in Old English becomes a mare or a mare. And so there is this overlap and association with the idea of water having to do with an evil feminine spirit. And when you have a nightmare, your conscious mind slips down into the waters of the unconscious. When you fall asleep, your conscious mind ceases to function, and you slip down into the depths of your unconscious, down into the depths of the waters. And the deeper you go, the more chaos, the more out of control you are, because you're going into the primal abyss of your unconscious. And it's full of all of your fears and all of your doubts and all of your insecurities, and that's your dragon. And so when you have a nightmare, you go down into the depths of the waters of your unconscious and you see the chaos serpent in your mind, which is all of your doubts and your fears, and it shows it to you. And you have a nightmare. Has to do with, it's the being swallowed by the whale. You're in the belly of the whale. When you go down into the depths of the waters and you're swallowed by the chaos serpent who knows all of your fears, you're in the belly of the whale. It's the descent into the dark, and the whale, or the serpent that has swallowed you, is the personification of all the things in the subconscious, and the water is the unconscious. And the creature in the water is the dynamism of the unconscious. Think of the waves of the ocean, the dynamism of, can you control the waves of the ocean? No. It's a chaotic, uncontrollable force, and that is like the dynamism of the unconscious. It's like trying to control the waves of the sea, which are dangerous and powerful, but they have to be quelled by the conscious mind. The serpent that's in the waters has to be pushed down by the conscious mind. And the first stage in a hero's adventure is leaving that realm of light which he controls and he knows about, and moving towards that threshold, and that threshold is the monster in the abyss that comes to meet him. And when you can't think of something, when you can't imagine something, when it's out of your realm of imagination, it's unfathomable. We compare it to the ocean. What's a fathom? It's a unit of measuring the ocean. So when you say that an idea is unfathomable, you are comparing it to the unconscious depths of the abyss. And so the letter M has to do with water and chaos, but when you're swallowed, you're transformed. You go into the water to become purified. But that in and of itself is an act of chaos. Mem in Hebrew, there are two mems. There are two versions of mem, and so it points towards there is one mem and then there's final mem. There's a transformation that happens because there's two different versions of mem, you see. And the word mayim, water, has two mems in it. to both of the versions of Mem. So first Mem, Yud, God's hand, and then final Mem, the transformed water. And the word Mayim in Hebrew literally is a picture of the Spirit of God hovering over the surface of the waters, which is the first time you hear the word water in the Bible. And so when you're baptized, you go into the water, you go into the abyss, you come back out transformed. Mem, the letter Mem in Hebrew has to do with the number 40. How often does 40 come up in the Bible? And it always has to do with transformation. So Moses ascends the mountain for 40 days. Jesus spends 40 days in the desert. There are 40 days of teshuvah before Yom Kippur. There are 40 days of repentance in Lent. The Jews spend 40 years wandering in the desert and 40 years eating manna. So the waters have to do with transformation, change, the dynamism of the unconscious mind. And there's a dragon. There's a dragon at the bottom. So as we go forward and read these myths, let's demythologize them and let's try and see how these are also talking about a story that happens within our own minds. The dragon, Typhon, attempted to overthrow Zeus upon his high seat in the conscious mind for supremacy over the body, over the cosmos. And the two fought a cataclysmic battle, and Zeus finally won with the aid of his thunderbolts and defeated. Typhon was cast down into Tartarus. Zeus thundered hard and mightily, and the earth around resounded terribly, and the wide heaven above, and the sea, and the ocean streams, and the nether parts of the earth. Ooh! And Zeus, with his thunderbolt, easily overcame Typhon, who was thrown down into the earth with a fiery crash. So when Zeus had raised up his might and seized his arms, thunder and lightning, very frightening, and lurid thunderbolts, he leaped from Olympus and struck him and burned all the marvelous heads of the monster about him. And when Zeus had conquered him and lashed him with strokes, Typhon was hurled down and maimed wreck, so that the huge earth groaned and the flame shot forth from the thunder-stricken lord in the dim, rugged glens of the mount when he was smitten. A great part of the huge earth was scorched by the terrible vapor, and melted as tin melts when heated by men's art in channeled cubicles, or as iron, which is the hardest of things, and shortened by glowing fire in mountain glens, and melts in divine earth through the strength of Hephaestus. Even so then, the earth melted in a glow of the blazing fire, and defeated Typhon was cast into Tartarus by an angry Zeus. And fiery, the angels fell, and deep thunder roared about their shoulders, burning with the fires of Orc. And it was with his thunderbolts that Zeus cast down the serpent Typhon into the abyss. Just as his son, Apollo, fires an arrow into the serpent Python, the arrow representing the shafts of light, like lightning, thunder and lightning, very frightening. Just as Hercules overcame the many-headed Hydra with his big club above his head. He whacked the serpent on whacking day. that many-headed Hydra, just as Krishna danced upon the many heads of Kalia, who blocked the waters, who blocked and poisoned the waters of the river. And Krishna danced upon Kalia's head until he finally was bloodied and gave in. Just as Indra cast Vritra down into the waters with his thunderbolts. Like St. George smote the dragon with his very, very tiny thin lance, which represents a shaft of light. Lightning, very frightening. Casting the dragon down just like Saint Michael, who cast down the dragon, beating him with his fiery sword of truth, saying, Michael, who is like God? Who's like El? Who's like El? Kios, what is it? Kios ut Deus? They even have the same phrase in Latin. Who is like God? Who's like God? Like the Archangel Michael smote the dragon down into the abyss, just like Richard Nixon smote the evil serpent Alger Hiss on Whacking Day. A reoccurring motif, if you will, of the angry storm god clubbing the chaos serpent down into the abyss. Just like Saint Margaret clubbed the devil with her hammer. Just like Saint Margaret done smote the devil with her hammer, raised high above her head, Saint Margaret smote the serpent Satan down with her hammer, just like how in the end times in Ragnarok, Thor, son of Odin, will come back. He'll come back, he'll return, and he'll smite Jormungandr with a big hammer. He's gonna smite the Chaos Serpent in the end times with a big hammer and with lightning bolts. Like the Hittite god Tarhunt cast down Illuyanka. The Hittite god Tarhunt cast down the serpent Illuyanka. Not with kindness, but with a hammer, with a big club, and with thunderbolts. And here's Tarhunt standing upon his bull, with his club, his mighty hammer raised above his head, with his thunderbolts in his hand, looking a lot like the Canaanite god Baal, the storm god Baal, holding a club raised above his hand and a stylized shaft of wheat or grain, which represents his thunderbolts. Because the thunder and lightning might be very, very frightening, but it brings the rain that grow the crops. So Baal, who's depicted standing on a bull with a hammer and thunderbolts, when the Romans came into the Levant and they saw the Canaanite god Baal, because I know there's a lot of misconceptions about Baal, and I'm here to set them straight, and you're gonna see why. Because when the Romans came in and they saw the Canaanite god Baal with his big club and his hammer in his hand and his shafts of lightning and standing on his bull, they went, wait, that looks familiar. We know who that is. We call him Zeus or Jupiter. Take your pick. Because What is Zeus or Jupiter? Take your pick. Jupiter. Deus Pater, the Sky Father. That's where that comes from. Jupiter is Jupiter. And Zeus, they would have said it more like juice, like juice. D-Y. It's not phonetically the same. Jupiter. Deus Pater. Sky Father. So what does Sky Daddy have? He's got thunderbolts, and he's got lightning, and he's got a big club to hit you with. Lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. So when the Romans saw Baal, they went, oh, we know that. That's Sky Daddy. Baal means Lord. There's actually multiple gods that are called Baal because it's a title, but the Baal we're talking about is Baal Hadad. But even still in Hebrew, Baal is husband. It's my lord. It's a cognate for Bel, which is also a title signifying lord or master, applied to various gods in the Mesopotamian religion of Akkad and Assyria and Babylonia. The feminine form is Belit, and Bel is represented in Greek as Belos, and Latin as Belus. Belit appears in Greek as Belitis. Linguistically, Bel is a cognate with Baal. They mean the same thing. Bel was used especially for the Mesopotamian or the Babylonian god Marduk. Marduk. So Marduk is Bel, so Baal is Jupiter, and Baal is Bel, who's Marduk. So Marduk in Assyrian and Neo-Babylonian personal names is mentioned in inscriptions in a Mesopotamian context as Bel. Similarly, other gods called Lord are sometimes identified totally or in part with Bel Marduk. Similarly, Zeus Belus is mentioned, is born to Kronos or El. So the Romans identified El, father of Baal, the old god, with Kronos, with Saturn. And in Mandean cosmology, the name for Jupiter is Bil, which is derived from Bel. Well, we call him Baal. Or Marduk. Take your pick. Marduk, the Mesopotamian god, is often associated with a bull, as his name means the bull calf of the sun. He's not depicted as a bull god, but as a human in royal attire with his bull horns to symbol his supremacy in the pantheon after defeating the chaos goddess Tiamat. And Marduk is associated with Jupiter, with Zeus, Baal, and Kronos, and Saturn, and Enki, and El are associated together. And Zeus is also associated with bulls. And El, the father of heaven, who's associated with Saturn, and his major son, Hadad, Baal Hadad, the father of earth, is associated with Jupiter. They're symbolized both by the bull, and they wear the bull horns in their headdresses. El, Kronos, Saturn, had a variety of epithets and forms, and he's repeatedly referred to as Bull El, or the Bull God, or El Milk, El, the king. We'll talk about Moloch, because Melech means king. So El Milk, the king. And their king, their royalty is symbolized by the bull. And the bull, since ancient times, has symbolized this dynamism of the sun and the male fertility. Some of the earliest religious figures, the religious altars that were in homes, were discovered in Anatolia, and they're called bucraniums, literally a cow's skull or an ox's head, where they kept cow skulls as a form of both decoration and worship. And the Greeks also adopted this practice of creating bucraniums of stylized ox heads and cow skulls. This practice goes back to Neolithic times. And we're not just talking about any bull. In ancient times, since ancient times, we're talking since cave paintings in France, the bull is the symbol of the dynamism of the power of the male fertility and the force of the sun. Dayman. Oh! And it's not just any bull we're talking about. It's ancient times. We're talking about an auroch, an extinct form of prehistorical bulls that were some of the first domesticated animals that were first domesticated by men. So understand that man as a species has a deep relationship with the bull and the cow that goes back to Neolithic times as probably the first ever domesticated animal. And we're talking about huge bulls that are bigger than a man. Now imagine, to a Neolithic person, to a Stone Age person, the kind of dynamism and power that animal has, and to control that kind of dynamism and power, to be stronger than the bull, to wear the bull's horns, means you're the chief. You overcame this literal monster bull. Strong like the bull, and because people have this relationship with the domesticated cow that goes back into Stone Age times. It's the foundation of agriculture, because people have this deep relationship with the domesticated cow, in that it plows the fields, it poops where it plows, it fertilizes the soil, and so the cow brings life. But you have to bring the cow under your control, and so that brings us to the letter A. The letter A. This segment, brought to you by the letter A, is from a cow. Our letter A comes from an ancient Hebrew version, an ancient version of Hebrew, where the Aleph is a bull. Mind you that all of these bull cults are also happening in the Bronze Age, during the Age of Taurus, when the sun is rising in Taurus in the symbol of the bull. And that's when you have bull cults and the sacred cow. So an Aleph A, the first letter of the alphabet. And that's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. When you say alpha, when you say something is an alpha, that comes from Hebrew, aleph. Aleph, the first letter, gets adopted into, because Greek adopts this ancient form of Hebrew, and it becomes the alpha. What is an alpha? What is an alpha? When you say someone or something is an alpha, what does that mean? It means it's the first, it's the primary, it's the top, it's the highest. It's the thing that is in control of whatever's beneath it. And so an aleph and an alpha, it means the same thing. It means the primary source, the origin, the highest. It's the number one. And so it's associated with God. And the symbol of the bull's horns are 2 points, right? And so how do you represent one? Because the idea of God the One is an unfathomable thing. And so you have to put it into a symbol that's understandable. And so the oneness of God is represented by the 2 horns of the bull, which are actually one. They look like they're 2, but they're one. They're joined together in the bucranium. And when you make an aleph in Hebrew, you make 2 yuds, 2 little hands, and a vav, a fish hook between them to hook them together. So you hook the 2, so it's 2 hands that are hooked together. It's your hand and God's hand hooked together, the oneness of, or it's one thing and another thing hooked together. It's the one. It's that there is no separation between these 2 things. And so God and you and the high and the low are both connected, and they're connected. They look like they're duality, but they're actually unity. And all of this also influences, by the way, Germanic runes, Norse runes, and they're an ansus. It's 2 points connected by a line, and an os is 2 points connected by a line, and it means God. It means Odin, who's El, the bull god. So you're linking something. You're linking something because the picture of the aleph is a yoke. It's a yoke. Man's relationship with the cow means they are yoked, essentially, that there is the plowman and the yoke between the 2 cows. And when you have 2 cows that are yoked together, you have the strong cow and the less strong cow, so that the other cow can pull it to guide the other one, just like God guides you. If you want to see it that way, you're yoked to God, like the strong bull is linked to the not so strong bull. And that's represented in the letter aleph, alpha, A. And that's why our letter A looks like a V with a line connecting the 2 points. It's a yoke. And the name for God is El. So he's El. So what does that mean? So he is Aleph Lamed. So he's Aleph, he's the highest, he's the first, he's the primary, he's the top dog. And a Lamed, an L is a walking stick, or a shepherd's staff, or a goad. It's the thing you beat the cow with to make it go. So when you say the letter L, you can't even say the letter L. without using the name of God, El. So a lamed, which becomes a lambda in Greek, it represents leading. So you're the shepherd, you're leading the flock. It's the highest letter in Hebrew, so it's royal. Like it's learning, you're teaching, you're bringing knowledge, you're leading someone to an idea. So who's El? Who is God? So if you want to know God, if you want to know who God is, you look at his name. He's El. He's the highest leader. He's the top teacher. He's got the biggest staff. He carries the biggest staff, and he'll whip you with it because he whipped the Chaos Dragon down into the depths of Tartarus. He carries the biggest lamed. He carries the biggest staff. So Aleph, Lamed, El. That's what it is. Bull and stick. El. It's the bull and the person leading the bull, and they're yoked together. They're one. They look like they're different, but they're the same. They're one unit working together. So he's El. The Alpha and the Omega, we'll get to that. It has a different name in Hebrew. We'll get to that. But El, Aleph Lamed, the bowl stick, the bowl staff. That's what it is. And there's a Vav connecting them. That's what it is. Anyway. So Baal is Jupiter. Or at least that's what the Romans think. The Romans see Baal, they go, that's Jupiter, right? And so when they worship Zeus or Jupiter in Syria and in Lebanon, in Levant, they worship him as Jupiter Dolicanus. And he stands on top of the bowl, holding his big stick with his thunderbolts and lightning. Very frightening. And where did they worship Jupiter Dolicanus? They worshipped him at the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek, Lebanon. Perhaps you've heard of Baalbek. If you're into the megalithic structure stuff, you've probably heard of Baalbek, where they have the big stone, which, I hate to break it to you, was quarried by the Romans. Nevertheless, an impressive architectural feat. Baalbek is where they worship Jupiter Dolicanus. So there's this link between Jupiter, between Baal, bulls, and look, it's the same symbol. He's standing on a bull. He has a club in his hand. He has lightning bolts. And Baal Hadad has his bull horns. He has his club. He has his shafts of wheat or his lightning bolts. And just like, or kind of like, similar to, in the Bible, how Yud He Vav He, he smites the Leviathan. He drives the Leviathan down into the depths of the waters. Just like God smotes the Leviathan, Baal smotes the sea serpent Lotan. the multi-headed sea serpent Lotan. Baal drives him back down into the depths. Lotan, servant of the sea god Yam. Who's Yam? Probably Dagon. Because Dagon is the monster in the abyss. It's how you gain the knowledge. It's how you gain the secret knowledge is you're swallowed by the whale at the bottom of the unconscious. That's what Dagon's all about. And so the sea god, Yam, or maybe Dagon, Lotan is this sea monster and he sends him out to cause chaos. And Hadad, or Baal Hadad defeats Lotan, just like God defeats the Leviathan, Marduk defeats Tiamat. All examples of the Chaos Kampf. Like Zeus slaying Typhon, Thor's struggle against the Jormungandr. In the Gylfaginning portion of the prose Edda, and the Vedic battle between Indra and Vitra, which means the enveloper or the cover or the obstacle, who's accused as a dragon of hoarding the waters as it rains and stealing cows and hiding the sun. A pattern of good versus evil and darkness versus light, hiding the sun. And comparisons to forces of nature and monsters whose tentacles span the earth. Like Dagon. So Baal smites Lotan, the many-headed sea serpent. And then when his throne is challenged, his high throne as up in the heavens, as the king Baal, the lord of the gods, he's challenged by Atar for his throne. The brightest shining star, Atar, who in pre-Islamic, Arabian, Canaanite mythologies, Atar is a deity associated with Venus, and often associated with the morning star. Atar attempts to seize the throne of Baal, but failing to do so by his own limitations, he's cast down. Atar is the chief deity of South Arabia. Let me say that again in case you've been following along. Atar, Venus, Lucifer, is the chief deity of South Arabia, connected with the planet Venus as the morning star. The eastern one. What did I say? What did I tell you? The brightest shining star, Venus, Lucifer, Atar, who tries to take the seat of Baal and is cast down. Is the chief god of where? South Arabia. Atar, a deity whose role, name, even gender. Interesting. Atar, Venus, Lucifer. Could it be Satan? Atar, a deity whose role, name, even gender varied across ancient Semitic religion. In both genders, Atar is identified with the planet Venus. As both the morning and the evening star, Atar is a prominent character in the Baal cycle. And it's suggested that Atar is a masculine version of Venus. As Venus is the feminine form of the goddess Inanna. And so Atar is a form of Venus as Inanna, having a masculine beard. Various genders, because Lucifer is the morning and the evening star. So they're male and they're female. But this motif, the chaos comp, the motif of the heavenly beings striving for the highest seat in heaven, only to be cast down into the underworld, has its origins in the motions of the planet Venus. Venus, represented as the morning star, personified by the god Atar, worshipped by in South Arabia, who attempted to occupy the throne of Baal, and finding he was unable to do so, descended and ruled in the underworld. Atar, who rules in the underworld, who is the chief god of the South Arabians. The original myth may have been about a lesser god, Helel, who trying to dethrone the Canaanite god El, the top dog. He's the bull with the biggest staff. El, who lived on a mountain in the north, and a mighty warrior named Helel, the Shining One, whose ambition was to ascend higher than all of the other stellar divinities, but instead who descended down into the depths, and it's portrayed as a battle, the process by which the bright morning star fails to reach the highest point in the sky before being faded out by the rising sun. Lucifer is a translation from the Hebrew of Hillel ben Shachar, the bright and shining one, the son of the morning. Lucifer. The bringer of the dawn, the light bringer. So Venus is Lucifer, and if Venus is Aphrodite, what does Aphrodite mean? It means bright wanderer. The bright and the shining one, the one from the bright and shining sea foam who's risen from the foam. Venus, goddess of love. But you never asked, you never thought to question, did you, if Venus is the morning and the evening star, and Venus has a penis, or I should have put it this way, if Venus is the morning and the evening star, does Venus have a penis? And the answer is abso-fucking-lutely. Aphrodite, the male version of Aphrodite, a masculine form of Aphrodite, portrayed as a female shape clothed like a woman, but lifting their skirt and exposing their dick. I cannot stress this enough. That Aphrodite, who's Venus, who's Lucifer, who's Satan, is depicted as hermaphroditic, of having both sexes, and is depicted as a man-woman lifting their skirt, exposing their man dick. Aphroditus is the same as the later god Hermaphroditus. So Hermaphroditus is Aphrodite, which is derived from a combination of Aphrodite and Hermes, having both the features of male and female. And it was believed that this figure of this dude woman lifting their skirt, showing their junk, was believed to bestow good luck. I cannot stress enough that Venus has a penis. Venus, goddess of love, flashing their dick at random strangers. Yeah, the good luck wang. It's just a good luck wang. Macrobius identified this goddess with the moon and says that at their sacrifices, men and women exchange sacrifices. I might add. Were there sacrifices to Baal? Someone asked me. You bet there were. We'll get to that later. But at the sacrifices to Aphrodite, or Aphrodites, men and women exchanged their clothing, and in their rituals and festivals, they said that the image or the impersonator of the god was accompanied by a large train of followers in which girls mingled with men because their festivals allowed women to act the part of men and men to put on women's clothing and play as women. And I cannot stress enough that if Venus has a penis and Aphrodite is associated with the moon, well, then you have the moon, the crescent moon, and the Venus penis. Boy, howdy. It gets worse, trust me. Also, Venus, the planet Venus, also goes through phases just like the moon, interestingly enough. Also, there's a statue of Venus on Cyprus that's bearded, shaped and dressed like a woman with the scepter and male genitals, and they conceive her as both male and female. Aristophanes calls her Aphroditus. Worshipping then the nurturing god Venus, whether she is male or female, just as the moon is a nurturing goddess. She is the moon, and that the men sacrifice to her in women's dresses and women in men's clothing, because she is held to be both male and female. Hermaphrodites. Venus has a penis. So holding a scepter. Could it be Ishtar? So Venus is associated with the Babylonian goddess Ishtar. Or Inanna. Inanna, or Ishtar, is the Mesopotamian goddess of war, love, and fertility. And she's also associated with, get this, political power, divine law, sensuality, and procreation. She's worshipped in 3 forms as the morning Inanna, the evening Inanna, and the princely Inanna, the former 2 reflecting the phases of the associated with the planet Venus as the morning and the evening star. I'm gonna have to assume princely Inanna is hermaphroditic. And the Assyrians elevated her to become the highest deity in their pantheon, ranking her above their own national god, Ashur. She went on to influence the Ugaritic goddess Astarte and later the Phoenician goddess, the Ugaritic goddess Ashtart and later the Phoenician goddess Astarte, who then in turn possibly influenced the development of the Greek goddess Aphrodite. And her worship continued to flourish until its gradual decline between the 1st and 6th century CE in the wake of Christianity. People were worshiping Ishtar in the post-Jesus era. In the post-Jesus era. Ishtar, Venus with a penis, was the top primo god of the Assyrians. Inanna appears in more myths than any other Sumerian deity. Ishtar, looking very dominatrix-y with the lion under her control, the sun, the lion being the symbol of the male fertility in the sun. It's like the bull. The Lion King. She's stepping on the Lion King. She's stepping on Simba. And in another form, she has bird feet. And wangs. Wangs and bird feet. Boy, Ishtar. You sort of look a little bit like Tiamat with your chicken feet and your bird wangs. So Ishtar, who's Venus, who has a penis, is Aphrodite, who's Lucifer, is Tiamat. And Marduk, who's Baal, who's Jupiter, who's Zeus, he cast with his thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening, he cast Tiamat down into the abyss. So Ishtar, who's Venus, who has a penis, is Astarte. Astarte, which is the feminine form of Atar. Baal cast Atar down, and Atar, who's the male form in his feminine form, is Astarte. So again, we have this thing, Venus being both male and female. And boy, wouldn't that be weird? Wouldn't that be weird if there was an Arabian goddess who came from the same lineage as Ishtar and Aphrodite and Venus, who's Lucifer with a penis? Boy, howdy, wouldn't that be awful convenient if... Oh, yeah, no, there is. I'll just cut to the chase. It's Alilat. Alilat. It's Lilith. It's Lilith. Alilat. Lilith. Alilat is mentioned by the Greek historian Herodotus in his 5th century BC work, The Histories, as being considered the equivalent of Aphrodite. According to Herodotus, the ancient Arabians believed in only 2 deities. The ancient Arabians believed in 2 deities and no other gods except for Dionysus and the heavenly Aphrodite, and say that they wear their hair as Dionysus does, cutting it round and at the head and shaving at the temples. And they call Dionysus Orotalt, and Aphrodite a Lilith. And boy howdy, wouldn't that be weird if in the Quran it mentioned how Lilith is the subject of the alleged satanic verses incident, in which on an occasion the Islamic prophet Muhammad had mistaken the words of satanic suggestion for divine revelation. Well, that would be pretty weird, huh? Venus. Now we know why she has her hair like that, so you don't see the dick. So, Venus, who's Aphrodite, who's Lucifer, who's Elilat, who's Lilith, who's Ishtar, who's Astarte, who's the feminine form of Atar, who's Tiamat, is represented by the seashell, hiding in plain sight. Venus rides in on the seashell. And where do you see seashells? Why, you see them in the Oval Office. Decorated right within plain sight in the Oval Office, right above the bookcase, is a seashell motif. And if you go out the doors into the rose garden, there's our seashells right there. Because what did I tell you? America has a goddess. It's Columbia. And when they did that weird World's Fair, that everybody talks about, the Columbian exhibition, they made a big statue of Liberty who looks kind of like a dude. When they did that weird World's Fair, the World's Columbian Exposition, they made a big golden idol that burnt down later under mysterious circumstances of the goddess Liberty. The Columbia, who is the light bringer, she brings the light. Just like Lady Liberty. Boy, you never thought to ask what's under Liberty's skirt. Now you know. Statue of Liberty's got a dick. And now you know. So Lady Liberty, who's Columbia, brings the light because she's the light bearer. She's the light bringer. She's the bringer of the evening and the morning light. She's Prometheus. If you remember the episode I did about Christmas, and we talked about the golden age of Saturn, How did the golden age of Saturn, or Kronos, who the Greeks and the Romans identified with L, how did the golden age of Saturn come to an end? When Prometheus stole the fire from the gods and gave it to man. The fire is the knowledge, the forbidden knowledge. So Prometheus ascends to the highest throne. He steals the fire, and he's the light bringer. He brings the light of the flame of knowledge down from the gods, and he gives it to men. Incidentally, if you go to New York, and if you've ever seen any Christmas movie ever shot in New York, there's the big tree in where? Rockefeller Plaza. And what's in Rockefeller Plaza? It's Lucifer. It's Prometheus. It's a big golden idol of Lucifer bringing the light. It's Prometheus bringing the light. In Rockefeller Plaza. And for his hubris, Prometheus is cast down and he's chained to a rock where, not the country, but a rock, where a vulture pecks out his innards every day and they grow back like Wolverine. So he's kept in constant torture for all eternity for stealing the fire of light from the gods. And since we're getting down in the weeds, the light, the fire we're talking about, has to do with the letter S. This segment's brought to you by the letter S, Shin, Sigma. What's a Sigma? If you say somebody's a Sigma, what does that mean? It means they're self-sustaining. They don't need no one else. Just like the sun is self-sustaining, just like the Lord is self-sustaining. And the Lord speaks to Moses out of a burning bush. And although the bush is on fire, although the bush is inflamed, it is not consumed by the flames. For the flame of God, it burns. S, Shin, fire in Hebrew is Esh. Esh, sun is Shamish. It's the same rune that later gets used as the S rune for soul, the sun. It's the fire of knowledge that burns away ignorance, but knowledge comes at the cost of chaos. You go into the waters, you come out transformed, but you're swallowed by the monster. And similarly, just like water has this transformative nature, fire has a transformative nature. It burns away the ignorance, but you destroy one thing to get another. So there's a transformation, but at a cost. You get knowledge, but you're burned by that knowledge. It's the forbidden knowledge. It's the knowledge that God keeps from us because we're not ready for it. We'll be burned by that knowledge. And Prometheus wants to steal that knowledge and give that. When God gives his revelation, it's a fire that burns away the ignorance, but it consumes something like teeth, which are shin. So the letter shin are like teeth that chew something up. They grind it up and they turn it into something else. They consume something, they destroy it, but in that destruction, it creates something, and that's why it's self-sustaining. And the shin, the letter S, as you probably already know, live long and prosper. You're making the letter shin the light of the Shekinah, the feminine form of God that acts within the world. Unknowable daddy God is up in the heavens. And so this burns away the ignorance. So the golden age of Saturn, it ends because Prometheus steals the fire. He gives it to man. And Pandora opens the box. Don't open that box. Don't you open that box or eat that fruit, because you're gonna gain knowledge you're not ready for. You're gonna understand the knowledge of duality, and you're no longer one. You're no longer yoked with God. Now you're kicked out of the garden. You're separated from the Almighty. You've opened the box, you've gotten the knowledge, but at the cost of chaos. Who gives the knowledge? Who gives the fire of the knowledge and opens the box and makes them eat the apple in the golden age? It's the snake, the serpent. And in Egyptian myth, the snake is a Aphofis, or Apep, Aphof. Aphofis. The Lord of Chaos, a giant snake or serpent. The serpent of the Nile, or the evil dragon, whose greatest enemy was Ra, the sun god. He tries to put out the light of the sun and cause chaos. Tales of Aphofis battles against Ra say that every day Aphofis would lie below the horizon and like the evening star and not persist in the mortal kingdom, and this appropriately made him part of the underworld. And in some stories, Aphofis waited for Ra in the western mountain called Manu, where the sun set. And in others, Aphofis lurked just before dawn, like the dawn star, like Venus. The wide range of Aphofis' possible locations gained him the title, the World Encircler, because Venus is the wandering star, but he's kept trapped. He's the World Encircler because he's kept trapped eating his own tail in the underworld. It's thought that his terrifying roar would cause the underworld to rumble, and myths sometimes say that Aphofis was trapped there because he had been the previous chief god overthrown by Ra, or because he was evil and had been in prison. You know, I used to be top dog, but then this sun god Ra, he got me eating my own tail. He's got me eating my own tail every day, and now I'm just trapped down here in the underworld. What can you do about it? And Aphofis is slain by Ra in the form of a kitty cat. Ra turns into a kitty cat as the solar power, and he slays Aphofis underneath a sacred tree. So Kitty Ra, the solar Lion King, the Kitty King, he slays the Chaos Serpent underneath a sacred tree. Where have I heard a story about a tree with a serpent who gives people knowledge that they're not ready for, which creates an imbalance and chaos because now man is in duality and separated from the God that made them? So the snake in the garden around the sacred tree who gives the knowledge that man isn't ready for, and they're burned by the knowledge. They take the knowledge, but at the cost of the chaos. And it's why I don't understand Gnosticism. I don't understand how people fall for Gnosticism. Actually, Jewish God is evil and he keeps us imprisoned on a prison planet. And actually Lucifer's the good guy, and actually the snake in the garden was the good guy because he was trying to give knowledge to the people, man, that God was evil, man. And actually you've got it backwards, that the serpent is actually the good guy. And that actually Jewish God, he's Yaldabaoth. He's a false god who keeps our souls trapped in physical bodies and imprisoned in a material universe for his own sick sadistic pleasure. And actually he's the serpent. And so actually the god who rules over is Yalda, the child of Bahut from Bohu, which means emptiness and darkness. So that Yaldabaoth is the child of darkness, or the element of chaos. Remember that word, it's gonna come up again, Bohu. It means the emptiness, the void, the waste, vacuity, a vacuum, an indistinguishable ruin. Bohu, the state of emptiness. In Near Eastern cosmology, the concept of chaos and void was common, representing the primordial state before God imposed order. Before God imposes order, there's only chaos. Before God creates, it's tohu vavohu, it's empty and it's void. How is the creator deity chaos then? I don't understand. So if the primordial state of everything was chaos, everything before order was chaos, why is the Jewish God of this world evil and chaos, and he's Yaldabaoth, and he just so happens to have... I kind of understand the symbolism they're going for, because you have the lion head and the serpent body, so you have the higher and the lower. You have the sun, the solar lion conscious form, and then you have the snake, the lower, the chaotic. The lion is the order, and the snake is the chaos of the subconscious. Like, I get how those are combined, and then conveniently, they just so happen, Gnostics will never explain why, that they also just so happen to have the star, the crescent, and the sun, like the Babylonian cosmology of the solar disk, the moon disk, and Venus. Like, that's pretty weird, huh? Like, I feel like Gnosticism is a giant LARP, and it makes no sense, and they don't want to ever explain any of their own bullshit to you. And here's an example is, so Yaldabaoth, who's the chaos serpent, is actually Jew God, and he's in charge of everything, and he's the chaos. And we have to undo the chaos to get back to the order. Makes no sense to me. But aha! Don't you know that you'll be led out of the light, or I'm sorry, the darkness of chaos, of the false Jew god. You'll be led out of his chaotic prison. And so you won't be in the emptiness, void, and waste, because guys, this is the emptiness and the void and the waste that we're in now. You're going to be delivered by the light of Sophia, of wisdom, an angel who may be male, maybe female, is going to bring light down to you and give you wisdom and release you from this prison that Yaldabaoth, the evil Jewish god, has kept you imprisoned in. And in the end, you'll be rewarded for all of your undoing of the evil Jew god's chaotic creation. And you'll be rewarded by Sophia, this possibly male, possibly female angel who's going to come down and bring the light of wisdom to you. Nice try, Ishtar. Nice try, Aphrodite, Venus, Lucifer, the devil. It's the same thing. Let's let Khan out of Seti Alpha's hell to reign in heaven, and you'll be rewarded. Actually, Kirk is an evil captain who keeps his crew under his command, and he won't let them off of the starship. And he hides the secrets of Genesis and the Kobayashi Maru from them. And that's why Khan needs to come and lead them out of the darkness. Nice try, Venus with your penis. Gnosticism is literally the same thing as Luciferianism. It's literally the same thing. And it's pretty weird that Luciferianism, Gnosticism, and Islam all believe the same thing, that evil Jew God is keeping you imprisoned. That evil Jew God is keeping you imprisoned. And that Jesus, but not Christian Jesus, but the real Jesus, he is gonna come. He's gonna come and he's gonna fix things because he's gonna overthrow Christianity. He's gonna stop belief in the false Jew God, and he's gonna overthrow Christianity, because that's what Islam believes that Jesus's mission is to do, is to destroy Christianity. More on that next week. More on that next week. But they all believe the same thing. You'll be rewarded in the afterlife for undoing God's evil creation. Jew God's evil creation, and you'll be led out by real Jesus, who will come and he'll destroy Judeo-Christian false belief. It's pretty weird. Down, dragon! Down, I drive you! Michael! Who's like El? Who's like God? And so, Saint Michael, the archangel, he beats the dragon down into the abyss. Michael, who's like God, bitch? Just like Marduk. Just like Marduk drove Tiamat down into the abyss. So who's Tiamat? Tiamat represents the primordial sea, the primordial ocean of chaos before creation. So before creation, there's a primordial sea. She's referred to as a woman and has, at various points, a number of anthropomorphic features such as breasts and theriomorphic features such as a tail. Tiamat bears the first generation of deities after mingling her waters with those of Apsu, her consort, and the gods continue to reproduce, forming a noisy new mass of divine children. Apsu, driven to violence by the noise they make, seeks to destroy them and is killed. Enraged, Tiamat also wars upon those of her own and Apsu's children who killed her consort, bringing forth a series of monsters as weapons. She's ultimately defeated and slain by Enki, El's son, the storm guard, Marduk, Baal, Jupiter, but not before she conjures forth monsters whose bodies she fills with poison instead of blood. Marduk dismembers her and then constructs and structures elements of the cosmos from Tiamat's body. So, if we demythologize this before there's creation, there's only the primordial waters of chaos. And God dismembers that chaos, and from the bones and the body of Tiamat, he builds the cosmos. And in Genesis, when the deep, or the abyss, is translated as Tehom. The Tehom is a cognate. It means the same as the Akkadian word Tamtu, or the Ugaritic THM, Tet-He-Mem, which have similar meaning, and then it's equated with the earlier Babylonian serpent, Tiamat. So Tiamat is the same word as Tehom, and Tehom is in the Bible as the deep or the abyss. Genesis. Genesis? That's right. Veosek al Pnei Tehom. And darkness was over the surface of the deep, the Tehom, the abyss, the deep. The Tiamat. Viosek al Pnei Tehom. Darkness was over the surface of the abyss, the primordial waters of creation, Tiamat. So darkness was over the surface of the primordial ocean, the abyss of the deep before creation. See, if you know these things, it makes your Bible that much more interesting. Viosek al Pnei Tehom. The darkness was over the face of the abyss, Tiamat. Tiamat, the primordial abyss, was driven down by Marduk. And where's the primordial abyss? It's in your subconscious. The primordial abyss is in you. It's in your subconscious. The Tehom, the abyss of the waters, is in your subconscious and must be suppressed by the conscious mind. The serpent in the water has to be driven down by Marduk up in the sky. In Chaldean legend, deciphered from the creation tablet, it depicts desolate and void condition of the earth is thus. So before creation, in Chaldean legend, when above were not raised the heavens, and below on the earth a plant had not grown up. Interestingly enough, the last letter in earth, Cha'eretz, the earth, it's a sade, it's a plant growing up. So the last letter in earth is a little plant growing out of the ground. So when earth is created, it ends with life, right? So so pretty interesting, when above were not raised the heavens and below on the earth a plant had not grown up. The sade had not grown up out of Cha'eretz. And the abyss, the Tehom, also had not broken up their boundaries. That chaos or water or Tiamat, the sea, was the producing mother of the whole of them. In Babylonian cosmology, according to Berosus, commences with a time in which there existed nothing but darkness. Darkness was over the surface of the Tehom, over the surface of the abyss, and there was nothing but darkness and the abyss of the waters, wherein resided hideous monsters. In the beginning, when God began to create the heavens and the earth, before he created the heavens and the earth was was tohu vabohu. It was void and without form. It was chaos. And darkness was over the face of the Tehom, over the surface of the abyss. There was nothing but darkness, an abyss of waters wherein resided the most hideous beings, monsters. Tiamat's monsters of chaos. Before God creates the order of creation, there's only darkness and the abyss of the waters, which are filled with the monsters of Tiamat. If that sounds familiar, and you've seen Adventure Time,
before there was time, before there was anything, there was nothing. And before there was nothing, there were monsters. Here's your gold star.
So here's your gold star. Before creation, before there was time, before there was nothing, there were monsters. There was only the chaos of Tiamat, the waters of the abyss filled with monsters. And God slew the monsters of the abyss. God slew the Leviathan. Marduk slew Tiamat and created the world from its bones. And these Luciferians and these Gnostics who want to undo God's creation because it's evil, they want to return creation back to the state of chaos from whence it came. That's what they want. That's what Lucifer wants. To undo God's creation and return things back to the chaotic state from whence they came when there was only darkness and monsters. There's your gold star. And that's why it's a battle of order over chaos, the chaos comp. Order has to drive chaos down into the depths. But chaos can never be fully defeated. There has to be some chaos for the change to happen, because change is fire. It burns away the ignorance, or you're submerged in the water and you come out transformed. There has to be balance between the order and the chaos, but he tasks me. He tasks me and I will have him, and chaos will never stop trying to undo order. And these weirdo Gnostics who think that we live on a Jewish God prison planet, they will never stop, who are Luciferians, they believe the same thing, they want to undo this reality and return it back to Tohu vabohu. The abyss, chaos. So it's a chaos comp. It's a battle of order against chaos. And one focus of the chaos comp, with respect to the term the abyss, is tohu vabohu. Remember I said Yalda Baoth. It comes from the child of Baho, Bohu. Tohu vabohu. It was empty and void. It's the state of non-being before creation, the formless state. In the book of Genesis, the Spirit of God is moving upon the face of the waters. And remember, Mayim is literally a picture of the Spirit of God moving on the face of the waters, displacing the earlier state of the universe, likened to a watery chaos. And that's why Mayim, the word Mayim, is first mem, hand of God, final mem. He's transforming chaos into order. And the hand of God moves above the face of the waters, changing the earlier state of the universe, which is likened to a watery chaos, upon which there is chosek, darkness, confusion. Before anything, before there was time, before there was nothing, there was darkness and monsters. Tohu vabohu. It was chaos. The Greek word for tohu vabohu is chaos. The division of reality outside the contrast of the ordered cosmos. The state, the place, or the time beyond knowing, beyond the familiar. Inhabited by strange, ominous, demonic beings. Before there was time, before there was anything, it was full of monsters. And creation of the universe, of the cosmos, is binding the chaos, which means emptiness, a vast void, a chasm, an abyss, a gaping wide open space in the earth, a yawning void. The abyss, or infinite darkness, or it could be interpreted like water. Chaos as like water, something formless that cannot be differentiated. Let's go back to Genesis. What does Khan want? He wants the secrets of Genesis. Genesis means in the beginning, right? That's what Genesis means. It means in the beginning. Bereshit. Bereshit, bara Elohim. Bereshit, in the beginning. Bara, created. Who created? Elohim created. A better translation would be when God began to create the heavens and the earth. So when God began, we haven't created it yet. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So Bereshit, bara Elohim. Et. You might notice there's a word that's left untranslated there. Why would that be? Could it be there's a secret there that you have to know Hebrew to understand? So Bereshit bara Elohim, in the beginning, when God began to create, he hasn't created yet. And et. Et. What is et? It's the Aleph Tav. Aleph is the first letter. Tav is the last letter. It's a cross. It's represented by a cross, and it represents the finalization and the resurrection and going back to Aleph. And so Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, God created et, the beginning and the end of the alphabet, the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end of everything. And I put it this way: if you are gonna make a sandwich, we can't fathom making the world, but we can fathom making a sandwich. And if you're gonna make a sandwich, then you've got to go to the refrigerator, you've got to get out the meat, you've got to get out the mayo, you've got to get out the lettuce, you've got to get out all of the ingredients to make the sandwich before you can make the sandwich. So before God can make the heavens and the earth, he has to make the ingredients. And at some magical point in creation, when you've combined all of these ingredients and then you've closed the bread on top of each other, it now has ceased to become all of those separate ingredients, and now it exists as a sandwich. You've put your tav on it, you've put your final X on it, and it's a sandwich. And that's how God creates the universe. He creates the Aleph Tav, the alphabet, before anything else, because the alphabet are all of the mystic little ideas that he uses to create all of reality. So in the beginning, Bereshit bara Elohim et Cheshamayim. In the beginning, God creates the heavens, Cheshamayim. It's Esh and Mayim. It's fire and it's water. Did you know that? That the word for heavens in Hebrew, it's Esh, fire, and Mayim, water. So he creates Cheshamayim. Vayet and Che'eretz, the earth, which ends with a little sade, a little plant growing up out of the ground. There's all kinds of fun stuff. So, in the beginning, when God began to create the heavens and the earth, he hasn't created them yet. It's in the beginning, Bereshit. In the beginning, before God creates the heavens and the earth, Vayche'eretz, and the earth, Vayche'eretz, Hayata tohu vabohu. Vayche'eretz, and the earth, and the eretz, Hayata, it was tohu vabohu. It was formless and void. It was chaos before the earth was created, before now the earth in this state before creation is tohu vabohu. It's a desolation, a desert, a worthless thing, a vacuum. This is SETI Alpha 5. Before anything is created, it's tohu vabohu. Formless and void, it's chaos, it's the waters of chaos. Vayechosek al panei tehom. And darkness was over the surface of the tehom, the Tiamat, the abyss. So, in the beginning, when God began to create the heavens and the earth, now the earth was tohu vabohu, it was formless and void, it was chaos, and darkness was upon the face of the Tehom, the Tiamat, the deep, the abyss, full of monsters. And the Spirit of God, he moved upon the face of the waters. He transformed one mem into the final mem. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, and that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. all that existed was darkness, and he separates the light from the dark, order from chaos. And God called the light day, and the darkness night, and the evening the morning were first day. The first day. It's no longer tohu vabohu. He's separate. It's not chaos. Chaos is the state of non-being, of formless and void. It's chaos. There's no order to any of it. And God creates an order by doing what? God's order is imposed by saying, "Let there be light." And there was light. And he separated the light from the darkness and created order. He created the duality of order. And when Kirk comes on the bridge, because you can't make this up, because if Khan is Lucifer, then who's God? And what does God need with a starship? And when Kirk comes on the bridge, what does he say? Lights? And there were lights.
Prayer, Mr. Savick. The Klingons don't take prisoners. Lights.
The darkness never goes away. The Chaos Dragon is always scheming. And that's true in all the multiple levels of what we're talking about. This is happening on a spiritual level. This is happening on a psychological level, that your Chaos Dragon is never stopping trying to undo you, trying to undo the order of your conscious mind with your fears and your anxieties. Spiritually, the Chaos Dragon is trying to undo God's perfect order. And so, chaos must be combated with order. And the motif that represents this, that we use to tell ourselves, to make a little movie in our brains to understand these big concepts, these big psychological, spiritual concepts. We've created chaos comp. We've created this idea of the battle of order against chaos. A motif where a hero fights a dragon or a chaos monster and drives them back into the abyss from whence they came, the abyss of creation, the Tehom, Tohu Vabohu. No, I take that back. The Tehom is the abyss. He's driving into because the Chaos Dragon is trying to undo creation. I'm trying to undo creation and turn it back to Tohu Vabohu. And so the hero god has to vanquish that power, drive him back down to quell the chaos and restore order. This idea is related to sacrifice. It's the cosmic sacrifice. We struggle with the idea of sacrifice in the modern day because we're so separated from the idea. But as we've talked about these things, transformation only comes at a cost. Fire, it consumes something to turn it into something else. Water, you go into the water, you come back out transformed, but you're swallowed by the monster. There has to be some sort of sacrifice to restore the order back, to drive the dragon back down into the abyss and restore the order. It's the cosmic sacrifice. And if you think that this is just a product of Semitic cultures, think again. Proto-Indo-European people, the Aryans, the first white people. This is as old as the first white people. the first man, the first white man. Somebody asked about Yakub and how this relates to Yakub. Well, I guess here you go, because the first white man, Manu, and his giant twin, Ymir, the frost giant, are crossing the cosmos, accompanied by the primordial cow. So the first man, Manu, and his giant twin Ymir are crossing the cosmos with the primordial cow, and to create the world, Manu has to sacrifice his brother. With the help of the heavenly deities, he forges the natural elements, chaos, he binds fire and water, Esh and Mayim, Cheshamayim, the heavens, Cheshamayim. He binds the primordial elements of chaos, fire, water, by sacrificing his twin and forging from the natural elements human beings from his remains, just like Tiamat. Manu thus becomes the first priest after initiating this sacrifice as the primordial condition of world order, and his deceased brother, Yemo, turns into the first king as the social classes emerge from his anatomy. So he represents political power. So this god of the underworld also represents political power. And the primordial cow, often sacrificed in this myth, gives birth to the other animals and the vegetables. Yemo becomes king of the underworld, the realm of the dead. And the third man is the first warrior, Trito. The celestial gods offer cattle as a divine gift, which is stolen by a three-headed serpent named Yngvi, the serpent. The root for the word negotiation, which has to do with politics. So Yngvi, negotiation, steals the divine gift of the cattle from man. And Trito, the first warrior, has to fight him. And Trito first suffers at his hands, but he's fortified by an intoxicating drink and aided by a helper storm god, Hanuman. Together, they go to a cave or a mountain, and the hero finally manages to overcome the monster, and Trito then gives the recovered cattle back to the priest for it to properly be sacrificed. He's restored the order, right? And now, the first warrior, maintaining through his heroic deeds, he has maintained the cycle of mutual giving between God and man. So he sacrifices his brother to create, not Trito, Trito's the first warrior, but the first man, Manu, sacrifices his brother as Cain slew Abel. Cain and Abel, they offer their sacrifices to God, and God rejects. He accepts the sacrifice of the animals, but he rejects the sacrifice of the crops, because you can't burn vegetables, silly. If you want to do a proper sacrifice, it has to what? Be consumed by the fire, because fire is the primordial transforming chaotic energy. You can't burn vegetables, silly, so how are you gonna give them to God? And so in jealousy, Cain slew Abel, or Abel slew Cain. Or no, Cain slew Abel. I should know this. But Cain kills Abel. But it's this sacrifice. It's the first sacrifice in the Bible that then begins this like the beginning. The sacrifice happens to restore the order. It's something within. What does it say about us as again, if we demythologize this, about what it says to our psyche, that we have to enact a ritual of sacrifice to restore the order. So, with that in mind, let's talk about Moloch. I know you guys want to hear about Moloch. I think the more sensationalist aspects of Moloch are probably that. Sensationalist things that were written in the Middle Ages. Now, that being said, there's really no evidence for a god named, a Canaanite god named Moloch. There's really no evidence to support that there was a Canaanite god named Moloch. However, Melech means king, as we've established before. So, the letters Mem, Lamed, Kaf, M-L-K mean king. Melech, king, M-L-K, king. Wait a minute. Moloch. Melech, M-L-K, king, M-L-K, king, a sacrifice, M-L-K, king, sacrifice. You know, it's probably just better to leave that one alone, but that's pretty weird, huh? So MLK King is also a term that is used for this sacrifice, this child sacrifice ritual. So making a MLK or a milk or a Melech or a Moloch is it's the name of the ritual. You're making a Moloch, a child sacrifice to the god. So did they make Moloch to Baal? You bet they did. And that's how we know that Moloch is not a god, because there's inscriptions of this is the Moloch to Baal, right? You're making this sacrifice to Baal. So the name of the child sacrifice is the Moloch. So you're making the Moloch, and here's even a picture of, this is a picture of them making, this is the child, and they're sacrificing the child to Ishtar, who's Venus, who's Lucifer. So they're making a Moloch, an MLK, a sacrifice to Ishtar. So it's this idea of sacrifice and child sacrifice. It's not uncommon throughout all of the ancient world. It's pretty common. We're so separated from the idea, and of course it's a barbaric practice, and that's why we've left it behind, but we have to put these things in the context of the time of which they happened. And people made this sacrifice, and the sacrifice, the child sacrifice, is called the Moloch, and you made the Moloch to Ishtar or whatever. But we're separated from this idea of the fact that in these times people sacrifice. It's not uncommon that you sacrifice the first of your your crop. The first yield of your crop you sacrifice. Just like the first yield of your crop, like your seed, in a time when child mortality was around 50% and women had a lot more babies, it probably didn't seem that weird or out of the realm of thinking to think, well, if we sacrifice the first of our crop to have better crops, then we sacrifice our firstborn so that all of our children in the future survive. It's the way that they saw it. Among the Semites of West Asia, the king, in a time of national danger, sometimes gave his own son to die as a sacrifice for the people. Thus, Philo of Byblus, in his work on the Jews, says, quote, "It was an ancient custom in a crisis of great danger for that ruler of a city or nation, should he give his beloved son to die for the whole of the people as a ransom offered to the avenging demons. And the child thus offered was slain with mystic rites." So Kronos, whom the Phoenicians call Israel, El. Kronos, who the Romans associate with El, being the king of the land and having the only begotten son, called Jehud. Baal. And in the Phoenician tongue, Jehud signifies only begotten, dressed him in royal robes and sacrificed him upon the altar in a time of war, when the country was in great danger from the enemy. And when the king of Moab was besieged by the Israelites and hard beset, he took his eldest son, who would have reigned in his stead, and offered him as a burnt offering on the wall. So where have we heard this story about a king up in the sky, who sacrifices his only begotten son in a time of great danger? Because when you make a sacrifice, you don't sacrifice the shitty bowl. You're giving it to God. You don't sacrifice the shitty bowl. You don't give God the shittiest bowl. You give him the best bowl. And who's the best bowl? The first begotten son. Now, one can say that if you demythologize that, there is a psychological idea behind all of this. But if you mistake the symbol for the ritual, then you go out and you start burning babies. But if you demythologize it, there is an idea behind that if you want something, you have to make a sacrifice for it. And you don't sacrifice the shitty bull, you give the best bull. You give your best son. And who's the best son? You are. You give the thing, exactly, you give the thing without blemish. And so if you want to be transformed, you have to give the best within yourself. We're all in the Kobayashi Maru. It's the no-win scenario. And like it or not, if there is a figure who led mankind out of this era of child sacrifice, it was Abraham. Avraham, the father. Av means father. If there's a figure who leads mankind out of the era of child sacrifice, it's Abraham. God says, no, we're not doing that anymore. I don't want that anymore. That doesn't please me, right? We're moving on to a new era where we do things differently, and he gives that to Abraham. Lead these people out of this era of where because obviously there's something to this. There's something that God wants us to understand about this idea of eat the baby. But he doesn't want us to actually physically eat the baby, right? We're mistaking these symbols that are within our cosmic unconscious for that's what God is wanting us to go do. And he's saying, no, that's not what I want you to do. It's a metaphor. But if you want something, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. And consider this. If God commanded and said, no more child sacrifices, you want something, you're gonna have to give me something good. If you want to fight these evil people, these people who worship Lucifer and want to undo God's creation and cast it back to the chaos from whence it came, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice to restore the balance of order in the cosmos and push these people who are the dragons back down into the abyss? What are you willing to sacrifice? Because they're willing to sacrifice actual children. Literally. They will literally sacrifice actual children to Lucifer. They do it. And they're willing to do it. They're willing to sacrifice actual children to Lucifer to get what they want. So if you want to follow God's commandments not to sacrifice children, and you want to drive these people back down into the abyss, well, then you're going to have to find a pretty damn good sacrifice, because these people will sacrifice actual children. And chaos will never stop. Chaos will never stop trying to undo order, and it's the cosmic sacrifice. It has to keep happening, that the warrior keeps having to push the dragon back down into the abyss. Michael, who's like God? No one, bitch. But he's never going to stop. Why? Because he tasks me. He tasks me and I shall have him. Khan is never going to give it up. It's not good enough that he reigns in hell. It's not good enough that he got out of Ceti Alpha Hell and he has a starship now. No, he has to go after Kirk. He has, because he tasks me. He'll never stop trying to undo all the good things in creation. And we're in the Kobayashi Maru. We're in the no-win scenario where there is no solution. We learn by doing, Savick. And to defeat Khan, to drive him back into the Mutaro Nebula, for Kirk so loved his crew, for Kirk so loved the Enterprise and her crew, that he gave his only begotten Spork. Kirk gave his only begotten Spork to restore the balance of order in the cosmos. So as we think about these things, think about them on different levels of consciousness. It's happening on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on a psychological level. This idea of order versus chaos, that there is the order of the conscious mind that's always at risk of being overcome by the disorder, the chaos of the unconscious, and it always has to be suppressed. But you can but it's the abyss. It's the abyss of the unconscious. You don't want to see what's at the bottom. And so I ask again, if these people are so evil, they will sacrifice actual children. What are you willing to sacrifice? Because Khan wants that high seat up in the sky. He wants the captain's chair. And he's never gonna stop. He tasks me, and I shall have him. If we're not sacrificing children no more, if Abraham declared we're not doing that shit anymore. What's your only begotten spork that you're willing to sacrifice to quell the Chaos Dragon? We are so separated from the idea of sacrifice. We don't even want to sacrifice our time. So what are you willing to sacrifice? God gave his only begotten son. If that's what you believe, if you believe that God gave his only begotten spork to save the Enterprise, we're made in God's image, so what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your only begotten spork? I don't mean physically, because that's the misconception. If you mistake the symbol for reality, then you're sacrificing babies. But what's the thing within you that's your only begotten son that you're willing to sacrifice to drive the Chaos Serpent back down into the abyss? Michael, who's like God? No one.
In the life of every warrior, there is a battle destined to be his greatest or his last. A battle that will reunite two old friends.
Commanding a starship is your first best destiny.
And two old enemies.
A little pack.
A battle between the Starship Enterprise and the Wrath of Khan. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Rated PG.
Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check your local paper for theater location.